A 0.1% uptick in the quarterly employment survey has been cautiously welcomed. While employment rose by 12,000 jobs in the last quarter of 2024, the total annual employment fell by 0.8%. Stats SA's Soli Mulai explains that key economic industries, including manufacturing and mining, continue to bleed jobs. Labour analyst Michael Bagraim joins us now to expand on reaction in this regard. Thank you so much for your time, Michael. Stats SA has noted that an annual comparison of these jobs numbers indicates that there is a slowdown. What's your assessment of this?
Well, firstly, it's very sad because we had a bumper December tourism season, both in Western Province and in KwaZulu-Natal. So I was expecting maybe too optimistically, I was expecting an increase, but year on year, December to December, we've lost just over 90,000 jobs, when all the analysts are telling us that we are at 42% on the expanded definition, 42% unemployment. It's completely and utterly unsustainable. And despite some green shoots that we are seeing, and there are some green shoots, it's still not actually tackling the real numbers. We need to change. It can't be business as usual. South Africa desperately needs a change. People are standing in job queues. People are starving, basically. They can't afford to go. And economic growth is the way to go. Job creation comes from economic growth. And if we don't have that, we're going to have real problems. So the reality is that if we don't have the priorities, getting things right, such as transport, electricity, power, that sort of thing, we're just never going to get it. We need to destroy red tape, for instance. We need to take small businesses and basically remove them from the yoke of the big business regulations. All that means that we need to create jobs. We must eliminate unnecessary tariffs. We must realign our foreign policy. We're going to see soon further drops because of foreign policy. And I'm not saying we need to pander to other countries' whims, but at least be appropriate about the way we're going with our foreign policy. And then, of course, we need to stop the spending. We must have a look where we need to right-size the state by cutting the expenditure. There's wasteful expenditure in every single department. That money can be going for development. We could be a nation building, and we're just not doing it. It's pretty sad. And for those people that are waiting in job queues, this is really bad news because it can only get worse from here if we don't take our hands off our heart and say, what do we as a government need to do to encourage the business sector to grow? And there are lots of simple things that don't cost us. Just taking away regulations, deregulating small business would bring in 3 to 4 million jobs almost immediately at no cost. So I'm not sure why government is behaving this way. And I'm hoping that the GNU steps in and says, let's not have it business as usual, because we've seen now for almost 20 years, business as usual has destroyed the economy, and it's just not good.
Michael, you're quite correct in defining it as business unusual, and what the South African labour landscape is starting to see as a frequent occurrence is mining and manufacturing remaining areas of concern when it comes to absorbing jobs in an economy that has a high number of blue-collar workers, but this is simply not happening.
Well, yeah, but we have seen some movement. Some of our ministers are doing good jobs. Some of them are trying to change. I mean, we've just seen recently, and I was looking at it yesterday, that freight rail and major ports, both Cape Town and Richards Bay, desperately need upgrading. Cape Town is probably the worst in the world. Now what we're seeing is the minister, I think it's Minister Creasy, has called for a possibility of the private sector stepping in to help. Now, that's great news. And the business community have reacted very, very positively. And when the business community acts positively, it means they're going to start employing again. And that'd be fantastic. We see in the iron and steel industry, one of their biggest gripes is transport and ports, and of course, electricity. And if we actually start looking at this carefully as a government, there's nothing wrong with our government. They can do these things. There just doesn't seem to be the will at the moment. And I'm hoping the GNU steps in strongly and makes sure that this starts happening.
You read my mind with the sentiment around will, because there's a bit of hope with regards to the GNU and the dynamics of political solutions that may arise. Does that sentiment remain?
It does, and the sentiment is good around the world. People want to do business with us. People have that feeling, a strong feeling, that things are changing in South Africa. And I have that feeling. I'm positive. I'm feeling very strong and bullish about it. This was just a bit of sad news that's come to me now, that just over 90,000 jobs went down. Because for that one person that doesn't get a job, that's a tragedy. But we have to put a rosy picture on it, in the sense that things are changing. Government is speaking. Government is looking at it. Even Eskom itself is possibly looking at the private sector. They're looking at input from the private sector. So this is what we've all been looking for. We've all been looking for things to work. I don't really care who runs the ports and railways, as long as it works. As long as the railways bring the staff into the cities so that they can work. Now, I am a practicing labor lawyer. I hear from staff that they're spending almost 50% of their salary every month on transport. Well, that's completely unsustainable, and they've been doing this for 10, 15 years. I don't know how people cope with that. I mean, it's just impossible. When we've got beautiful railways, all we need to do is get them back on the track. And we can do that if we go to the private sector. We say to the private sector, invest, upgrade, put in security, and let's move our people around cheaply, safely, and quickly. And then we've got a workforce that can work, because people are coming to work, they're tired, they're unproductive, and they're spending all their money on transport. That's not sustainable.
Thank you, as always, for your input. Even with that grim picture that you paint of the current status, you remain optimistic. That's Michael Bagraim. He is a labour analyst reacting to the latest quarterly employment survey released by Stats SA earlier today.